Now here's the finished painting, so you can see the light, the shapes, and how the warm architecture sits against the long shadows. It's a simple street scene, but there's a lot happening in the way the colours and edges work together. Now in this video, I'll walk you through how I approached the drawing, why I kept the buildings clean and simplified, and the colour choices to hold the whole piece together. I'll show you some tricks of the trade to help you get confident with bright, light, quick washes and those loose figures that bring a scene to life. So let us get started. Right, once you've got the drawing in place, the main thing is to keep the washes simple. Now I'm not trying to paint every brick or every window, just the big shapes of light and shadow. Now you'll see the buildings in this scene look detailed, but they're really just a few more mixes placed confidently. And the figures are the same really, it's just going to be free shapes, quick strokes, and just let them sit naturally in the light. Now I'll talk you through how I decide what to leave out, how I keep the colours clean, and how I avoid overworking the shadows. Now these choices make the whole painting feel brighter and more believable. So with this first wash, we're going to be doing it's from the top, and it's using cobalt blue and just a little bit of cerulean blue. And I'll let you know the brushes as I use them. I'm not using too many, probably about 4 brushes in this painting. The first one is a number 2 mop brush from the Red Dot collection from Rosemary Co. I like to use their brushes, and I'll tell you which ones I'm using as I go. Now I've got the board slightly at an angle. I use a large drawing board, and I have a wooden support underneath, which is a couple of inches thick. So it's not too much of an angle. I've had to keep it fairly flat for the camera. Paints I use, mostly Winsor & Newton. I do have a few from Jackson's own artist quality range. Now while that's drying, I'm going to be doing some of the tree on the right hand side there. So this is sap green. Still using the mop, just washing the just wash the brush out in my jar of water, and I've got a large flat sponge that I wipe out onto. I want to just put in a variety of greens here. Now you see the way I work is more of a traditional style of painting really, with a series of washes. I don't try and do everything in one wash. And there's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with painting in 2 or 3 washes. Dark bit at the bottom, this is Payne's Grey. I'll talk you through my palette a little bit later on in the video, let you know what colours I use. It's a bit difficult to see on this in this light. They all look pretty much the same on the left hand side, all the blues and the greys. Now being quite careful with the bottom part of this painting, I want to keep that edge where the wall is and the person walking is clear of any paint. They're going to be very much lighter, and there's also a small statue on the wall there, and there's a lamppost that I put in for good effect, part of the verticals, and I've kept the bottom part of that clear, albeit it will be a black lamppost, but there will be some white flashes on there. First wash on the left hand side as well, just dipped into sepia, and merge the edges with some water. When you're going to leave some edges, now it's been dried off. When you're going to leave some edges, just add some water just to blend it in a bit, so you haven't got those hard edges. And if you're going over with a slightly lighter colour, it doesn't see those lighter edges. But this is going to be quite dark, so it's going to lose it anyway. But it's good practice. Blur your edges with water or a similar colour paint that's going to be going on in the next area you're painting. raw sienna. Just going to do this side of the building now. I've based this on some photographs I had of Cadiz Cathedral, so I've taken a few liberties, but it's very much based on that. Switch brushes now. I'm using a very nice brush. This is a pure sable from Rosemary Co. This is size 12 from their Series 99. I like to use this brush, use it quite a lot. Holds lots of paint. Mainly use synthetic these days, but I do have some sables. Just varying the colour of these buildings at the back there. They're all part of the same thing, all part of that cathedral, but just varying the colours as the different light shades on them affect them. Bringing the painting down from the top, adding some water to this raw sienna mixture, and then dipping into the sepia mixture at the bottom. Putting a first wash on this left hand side now. The paper I'm using is Saunders Waterford 200 pounds rough. I do mainly use the 140 pounds rough, but in this occasion I've got some 200 pound rough, and I've got quite a few sheets of that, so I'm going to be using that. Just a little bit firmer than the 140 pound. Probably better for looser, very fluid washes. Wouldn't buckle up quite so much. Now just going around the painting, losing some of this white, because it's a little bit daunting when you just got the white paper there. Get some colour in, and it helps. You start to visualise what, and your drawing starts to come to life. Still using the same colours, sepia. Putting in this tower. The sky's dry now, so that's fine to paint over this area here. I have to let that sky area dry completely. And in this painting, the sun's coming from the right, or the light's coming from the right from the sun. Sorry, from the left. So the shadows are on the right. And this is something that is a good thing to do. Now, I intended to leave these areas, but forgot to do that. So I've just applied just clean water and an old brush. This is something you can do with finished paintings if you're not happy. It doesn't work with every colour, but it certainly does with raw sienna. Tissue paper, water, let it dry a little bit. Just dab it with that tissue paper, and you can see straight away that's gone much lighter now. That's what I intended to do. So that's quite a good thing to learn, to be confident with. You won't ruin the painting. You just take some paint off, and with colours, with some of the darker colours. I know with Payne's grey, if you do that, you can take quite a bit of it off. It's quite a bit lighter. Doesn't affect the painting at all. But just put the water in the shape of where you want the paint to come off, as I've done with this part of the with the front of the church. Raw sienna again. Going to use quite a thick wash at the top part. Then I'm going to add some water and probably use some of that sepia mixture as well, just to vary it. That's the sepia mixture now. Just using that to vary it a little bit. It's all going to dry much lighter, but I don't want it all to just be a flat wash. This is all about giving the appearance of a frontage of an old church. Working in the background and bringing it forward, which is as I normally work, and it's good practice. And because this church isn't that far away, it can be quite bright, quite light. It's only if things are in the distance that you need to start really making them shades of grey and blue and violet, or lavender I should say. This is Payne's Grey and Sap Green. Still using the number 8 sable. Another wash on this tree on the right hand side. A few splashes, but don't worry about that. All led to the loose look. Probably give it another 1 or 2 washes, get that really dark. I want these trees to really be dark. Which will bring them right forward. Or the one on this one here I'm doing, I want this one to be exceptionally dark, which will bring it right forward. And with this painting, as I do in a lot of my paintings, I aim for there to be a connection of shapes. And as you see, it really is just a series of shapes. Just connect the shapes so that the scene reads as one piece. Much more interesting. Now I'm using some of these siennas there, burnt sienna at the top of the tree, raw sienna, and then Payne's Grey in the greeny mixture, which is sap green. Just leaving that figure on the top of the wall there, a small statue, and a little bit of the lamppost, the stem of the lamppost. Just a little white bit there. Let's go back over, a little bit of wet into wet. This will all blend in. Second wash on the left hand side there, the nearer building. Just want that to look kind of what I call dirtying it up a little bit, really. This old stonework. And then I'm going in with quite a strong wash of Payne's Grey Just a little bit of French ultramarine in there. Now, because the painting on the left hand side, because the building on the left hand side next to it is very wet, you'll see it's bleeding, and we can soon get rid of that. Just bring it down with a tissue there, and that'll keep that edge straight. Don't want that blurred, but it does leave a slightly blurry line, and it also takes some of the paint out of that colour on the left hand side, and it all adds to the variety of shades. Makes it interesting, and things looking like old walls do, with this lots of different colours, and you couldn't possibly paint them all. Now, the brush I'm using now is a size 8 Rosemary Sable. This is the Series 99 from Rosemary Co. Good for doing these areas that need some fine brush work. Not quite to the smaller, rigger size brush needed. And with this grey mixture, which is Payne's Grey, French Ultramarine, just putting in the first of the shadows. Sun's coming from the right, so the shadows are to the left. Strong sun, so strong shadows. They make the buildings pop. I'm just going to blur this at the bottom with some burnt sienna. On that area there to be quite blurry. Really going to put some marks in there, which should appear as figures in a little while. And then just some shades of colour up to the figure in the immediate foreground. A couple of walls there on the right and the left, so just doing the tops of those with some very watery grey paint. French Ultramarine, Payne's Grey. Just doing some of this architectural detail. Keeping it all simple. There's a lot more on this front of this church than what I'm going to paint, but I've just simplified it. Just put in the basics. And when you look, you see there is a church there, but it's not looking laboured. It will look fresh. And there's a lot more going on with this wall than I've put in here. I've really just put an arch. I'm going to be putting some different shades of colour on. I just want to feel for the place, really. I'm not taking a photograph. We're artists. We simplify, or impressionist artists, I should say. We simplify. This colour's neutral tint, mixing that with French ultramarine. run you through my palette quickly. Now if you look at my palette, I use a large John Pike palette, big plastic slab in the middle. I really like it because the way I work, I can leave pools of paint there and dip into them, use colours I've used earlier on. That's why sometimes it starts to get a little bit difficult to tell you the actual mixtures of what I'm using, because I'm just dipping into a mixture of 3 colours, which is probably light one end and dark the other. But the colours I use are, bottom left is sepia, then there's Payne's grey, French ultramarine, cobalt blue, cerulean blue, cobalt turquoise, which is the blues, and then there's a neutral tint, and in the corner is light red, and then these are the red colours really. So there's light red, raw umber, burnt sienna, raw sienna, quinacridine gold, which then takes us to the greens. And I've got hooker's green on the right hand corner. Below that is sap green, then there's cadmium yellow, alizarin crimson, ochre pink, cadmium red, jaune brilliant, and lavender. And I also do use Chinese white, which I put a squirt of it on the bottom part of the palette, as you can see. Dip into that sometimes. Add it to colours when I can't quite achieve what I want without the use of white. Putting in shadows, some marks, just dirtying out some of these areas as well, and darkening up some of the shadow sides. It's a brilliant sunny day. Very deep shadows on these buildings. Just adding some more interest now with these shadows on the buildings, giving a sense of depth with the architecture. Bluey grey. And then just a touch of light red there with this adjoining building next to the tree. And while I've got the brush out, just adding some flashes of colour. Now, this is very much it's a personal thing really, with this, putting bits like this in. It just loses that flatness of a wash, and it's entirely up to you where you put some of these. I've just added some to the front of the church, and on the side there's a few areas, 2 or 3 areas I put it onto. This is where being loose and impressionistic kind of kicks in. And I'm just putting some more marks with burnt sienna around this front building there. They're just really making it interesting, breaking up the whole mess, making this shape have some colour as well as darks. Going in with the shadows here now. Do these in one and make it nice and thick. Cobalt blue, alizarin crimson. Going to darken that up a bit. dip Payne's grey, and it's all still very wet. Quickly go over. Just want it done in one. Still time to do this in one wash. And then doing all the shadows. There's some figures there. I know they're going to be casting shadows, and there's a lamppost. Putting a shadow from there. Light coming from the left, shadows to the right. Most important to get that one right. And then the bottom part more blue, really more cobalt blue and alizarin crimson. Not so much Payne's grey. Great colour for shadows, this. And then just adding a few small marks of shadow colour. And that's it with that part, really. Just do it in one. And if you start doing more than one, it then starts to look less like shadows, really. Because when you get these cast shadows, they do the light of what they're what the shadow's on, or the surface, the surface color will shine through. It just won't be a dark slab of color, even if it's quite dark. Dipping into the greens again. I want this really dark. This is really gonna stand out. And this is very much dark against light. The lightest and the darkest part of the painting. Don't be frightened of going dark. As you can see, in this particular part of the painting, I've used 3 washes to achieve what I want. I probably could have done it in 2, but 3's fine. I've left the top part of the lamppost there clear of any paint. And then just doing some branches and things coming off of these trees. Just trying to make them interesting. And there's these figures. Going to do them in 3 parts. Head, torso, legs. Don't need any detail. One dark head, one light head. Still going with the colours. Roughly the same consistency. Light red, cadmium red. Red's a good colour for leading the eye. So quite a classic combination here with the figure with the red top on, heading towards the church. Catches your eye. You follow it into the to the church in the distance. Blue and brown, raw umber, and cobalt blue. Doing the trousers on these 2 figures walking in. Not making too much of them. Just making sure that where the shadows are, just doing them in one wash. And in the distance here, really just some dots and dashes. Really not making much at all of that, and it should, when it all dries, appear to be people in the distance. Their heads are roughly the same, roughly the same height as these figures walking in. Using a number 2 rigger. This is a Eclipse rigger, number 2 Eclipse rigger from Rosemary Co. Neutral tint. Tree's dried off now, so I'm going to do this colour. Can't really see it with this with the lights on here, but it is showing that it's the dark part of the lamppost there. Intended to leave a little bit more white flashes on the right hand side of this lamppost, but in my enthusiasm I've covered them, so but it doesn't matter. I could have got white gouache out and just touched a few bits in, but I'm just going to do this pure watercolour, this painting. Going around with a rigger, just emphasising some areas that I want to stand out. Corner of the wall, the fact that there's large blocks there on the left hand side. Separating the roof of this nearer building from the distant church. And a few dark marks. Just breaking up these grey washes. Decided to do that one again. Paint's grey, lots of water. Merging it in. And then some flashes of blue on that left hand wall. The idea isn't for realism here, it's just to make an interesting impressionistic painting. It does look real, but it doesn't look like a photograph. I'm just popping in my signature. So if you want to go deeper into this kind of scene, I've got full paint along videos and step-by-step PDFs over on my Patreon. That's a low-cost way to support the channel, and you get access to extra lessons, reference photos and real-time demos every month. So that's the main approach. Keep the drawing simple, place the warm and cool mixes with confidence, and let the figures stay loose. The whole scene comes together through light and shadow rather than detail. A few finishing touches always happen. Finish the painting and just decide there's a few bits that need it. Just put some shadows on that statue there. Must leave it alone now. Remove the tape to reveal that nice crisp edge. And there we are, there's the reveal. And that's it, finished with a mount on. If you enjoyed this one, there's plenty more coming. See you again soon. Goodbye.